Welcome back to another episode of Navigating Modern Dating. This is episode number 5. Back with my esteemed co-host TC. Took the night off last night. Had some things coming up, so he was just we were just chatting a little bit about last night's female POV and catching up on some of those conversations. So we're gonna rehash some of that. We'll talk about some of that and get his opinion on it because he was said for the first like 20 minutes or so. It's like he's pissed that he missed it. It was one of the best shows that we've done, so it would have been cool for him to be on there, but maybe we'll have some more of those conversations and we'll rally those kinds of women up again for a future show. So we got together this past weekend up in Colorado, up in Breckenridge. It's kind of like an annual meetup, ski weekend / sort of mastermind weekend for us and some of the guys in the Brotherhood. And so, we just let shit fly. Like we're not talking about very surface level, like sports, games, beer, Super Bowl, any of that stuff. And he and I got to talking and we there seems to be this I'll kind of let him take it, but I've noticed, he's noticed, I'm sure you guys have noticed, especially when we've done these ladies shows, that there seems to be a huge issue with the word like submission. And I think that a lot of women, I think we can both agree that a lot of women disagree on what submission actually is. And so, yeah, I think we should just start there. Like this idea of submission versus surrender, what's the difference between the two, if there is any at all? Why are we choosing to use maybe a different term? And, maybe some of the things that you've seen or you've experienced when you're talking to women about, submission, surrender, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. Well, obviously, I started using I'm screening a lot of women simultaneously, like all the time. And so like oftentimes I end up down the rabbit hole a bit, especially with women that identify as Christian. And even they don't love the word submission. So I started using this word surrender instead. And it went almost always goes a lot better, even though it's essentially talking about the same thing. What a lot of people, especially women nowadays, and even plenty of men, don't understand what the idea of submission is. And I always find it funny that I'm sure we're gonna have some people in the chat like Jackie that aren't gonna love everything that comes out of my mouth on this show if we get down the Christianity rabbit hole. But there's a lot of Christians that totally understand like submission to God, but then like those Christian women and even the men like looking at their wives, like they don't demand, like the Christian men don't demand of their wives the same submission they give to God. And then like the Christian women don't like they're trying to like submit to God like their men are instead of submitting to their men. It's very strange, but like ultimately most modern women's idea of submission is all like they hate the word and they're like they think the word means like doing what I want to do that he's telling me to do, right? Like if you're going to have a conversation with your man about something and he's now convinced you that it's the right thing to do and then you do it, that's not submission. That's like the ultimate resistance. Submission by definition is doing something that you don't want to do or something that you don't think is right or something that you don't understand why you're being asked to do it and doing it anyways, right? So like Christian people should identify with this idea of submitting yourself to God, right? It's like, I don't understand why this is happening to me, but I must submit myself to God, right? It must be part of his plan, whatever, right? Like they understand that. But then the same women, they can't look at their husband and be like, I don't understand why he's telling me to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. Like they just can't get over this hump, man. But yeah, surrenders, it's basically the same thing. It's just a much, like a lot of modern women knee jerk really fucking fast when you say the word submission or submit. And like there's a lot of situations where like for guys watching it, if you are a man that has your house in order and your shit's together and you're attractive, some of these like little tips to like ease off the like the harshness of like the beginning stages of dropping all of your very unplugged and different views on a woman, like these little things that can kind of take the edge off, like using the word surrender instead of submission, can really help. There's like a lot of women that, and you don't want to approach it like an idiot, like a loser, and qualify to her and bend to her will. But if you can just take the edge off a little bit until she's seen a little bit more of you, like it sometimes really helps with, like these women want to be led. Most women want to be led. Most women want to find a man they can submit to or surrender to. They're just very hesitant. It's just their programming. So just taking that edge off a little bit until they can kind of get a feel for like, oh my God, this guy's awesome. Because then they'll be, if they find a guy that's awesome, they're like, oh, I'll do whatever my man says.
Yeah. That's got to be a tough line to walk for a lot of guys, right? Because like it actually came up last night on the show when, like, of course, like clockwork, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, of course, right? And so, guys, I think, can fall into that trap where they think that the only way to get their point across, or the only way to get her to understand what he's saying, is to him to spell it out and to kowtow to this nice, like, butterfly and rainbow explanation, like he's explaining it like to a child, which, like, to your point, is deferring and is like kind of going into her frame. It's kind of like deferring to what she wants. So it's like taking the edge off, yeah, great strategy. It's there's times and places, right? That's kind of the example I gave last night. It's like, yeah, like, well, in a survival scenario when things need to be done, like, we don't have time for you to understand this. And I don't have time to say this nicely. I don't have time to like walk you through things. So it's like, if you're a guy that is relying on her to understand and approve the decisions that you make, it can be ultimately disastrous for you. Like, you need a woman, like, if you like, true to your point, true submission is like, I said X, therefore you do Y. And it's just because, like, you trust me and this is the guy that you're going to submit to. It was a really important point that you made. And, we can talk about this for the whole show. I don't even care, because I think it's an interesting point. And I think this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot. We had one woman on, and this comes up a lot. It's really common. We went down the rabbit hole with her a little bit. And it was just this idea of, she's like an entrepreneur, and we said, what would it take for you to have to give up work, or what do we, or how do you know that you found the right guy that you would like give up work for? Would you ever sacrifice your work and your business for family? And she's like, yeah, as long as the guy has proven that he can make good decisions, and that as long as I've built enough trust in him. And I was like, okay, got her right where I want her. And then I said, well, how does a guy build trust? Like, how do you actually learn how to trust a guy? And the examples she kept giving were things like, oh, well, when he does like he picks like the little things and like these little things. And he, it's basically what she alluded to was, this guy a guy making good decisions are decisions that she's already saying are good. And I said, that's not how you build trust. You build trust by, this guy is going to do something or wants to do something that you vehemently disagree with. And we used the example of, let's say, you guys have separate bank accounts. Your money's your money. His money is his money. He wants to invest in like this business or this startup or something like that. And he's tapped out and he wants to come to you and borrow money. And you were like, I don't like the guy that you're going into business with. I think this is a dumb idea. I think I've evaluated the business plan. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. I want to say no. Would you still do it in that moment? And then I kind of buried the lead, because I gave it I said like, oh, well, and it turns out he actually crushes it and kills it. But that's how he builds trust, right? So it's not just, you don't build trust because then if it's like, you're doing what I already agree with, then she just goes, yeah, I told you so. Yeah, you listened to me. Like, we made that decision together. Trust is more about like, I don't know if this is going to work out, to the point where it's like, I don't even think this is going to work out, but I am deferring and I'm trusting in this man to get the job done. And then he does. And if he doesn't, like, then you got other problems. But if he does, like, that's how, but if a woman's never willing to give up that control, if she wants to be involved, she's like, yeah, as long as I'm not, as long as there's nothing that can possibly negatively affect me, he can make whatever decision he wants. Like, that's the kicker. of course, if you have no skin in the game, he's allowed to make the decisions. But if it's something that possibly can affect you negatively, you want to have 100% control. And I said, like, you're just not going to necessarily find the kind of guy that you want who is going to let you play this sort of selective, like cafeteria decision making, like the Schrodinger's feminist sort of deal, where it's like, if it's something that I disagree on, I'll make the decision. But if I agree with you, then you can make the decision. It's sad because I think this is how a lot of women think. I think more than this woman last night, I think a lot of women think this way and feel this way.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I think the way I want to go into it first, it confuses me, right? When a woman is like, I need to be able to trust him to make decisions like that won't negatively affect me. Like, I'm not really sure if a man's making enough money where he can provide, so like she can stay home and focus on raising the children. I don't know what other decision he could make that would be affecting her, unless she has a whole bunch of priorities outside of the home, outside of being a mother and outside of raising children, right? So I think like a lot of women are just they're so into competing and the materialism and the status and the lifestyle and the attention and trying to be successful themselves, and a lot of times trying to compete in the world of men, which like all making money is acquiring resources essentially for what should be your family. I mean, if it's just so that you can have fun, like you're just a degenerate. But yeah, women are like so into all of that nowadays. A lot of them are. So they're like, oh, well, if they're thinking like he's making decisions for me. And it's not like a traditional woman. The decisions that the man's making for her are the decisions also for him and also for the family. Whereas I don't know, like I can't even figure out what these women are like. Oh, I can't feel like, what, you can't trust them to pick a place to eat, like if a guy's like
the way it originally
change
came
your
up,
job.
it's like, yeah, it was that kind of thing. It was like like a man can't tell me what to do. It was like, he can't tell me not to wear this, or I've never had a guy that do that. I'm like, either you've dated a bunch of guys that like are afraid of you and will never say anything, or you've never worn like a sexually suggestive outfit in public. And we both know the latter is false. It's like, women absolutely know. This is a conversation I was having with a buddy of mine after the show, where it's like, women shouldn't, like, if they know because they dress like this when they're single. Women know how to extract attention from men, like via their looks. We just know. It's why they wear makeup. It's why they dress certain ways. And to sit here and say that the fact that she'll walk out of a room after she's done getting ready and the guy would even have to say something along the lines, it's like, that dress is too short or the top is too revealing, go change. That conversation shouldn't ever even take place. You should not even be a guy that has to say that. Like, if a girl, because she knows at her core what she's doing. So if she's doing that, I mean, she knows she's not going to be checked, or she doesn't respect you enough, because even if you do check her, she's going to tell you to go F yourself. Right. So it's like, that's kind of the thing. Like, I think a lot of guys think that, oh, if I tell my chick to do something, she'll do it. If I tell her not to do something, she won't do it. It's like, that's only half of the equation. She shouldn't even be, as little as possible, because they're always going to push that envelope, but that shouldn't even be a conversation. It's like, you should not even have a woman that is saying something along the lines of, is this too short? Is this too revealing? Because she knows. She already knows. And either she's, I don't know, maybe she's maybe she's testing you to see if you will tell her to change. But I think a lot of these women know, and I think they actually don't respect their men because they know exactly what they're doing. So it's not necessarily a flex. It's like, oh yeah, I tell my girl to do stuff and she listens, or I tell her not to do things and she listens. It's like, she should be at the point where you have to tell her what to do as little as possible. She should already understand the dynamics and the boundaries that you set, and that you're not going to waver on them.
Yeah, this is I was thinking about this with the last points you were making too, like guys, if you've had a whole bunch of like I told you so moments with your chick, like she's not yours, man.
Yeah, talk about that some more.
That's, like women get this a lot, man. Like they're with a guy that really cares about them, and the guy tells her not to do something, or she comes, oh, what do you think I should do, this or that? And he's like, you should do this. This is why. It's like, oh, I'm gonna think I do that. And then they come back with like, oh, he was right. Like any women that have that experience, like even once, you just don't trust your man. You don't believe in him. You don't think he's better than you. You don't respect him. You're not going to follow him. But then guys, like if you're like 4 or 5 times, like, like I told you should have listened to me. It's bad news. Like she doesn't give a fuck about you. And that kind of ties back into what you just said, where like relationships should be extremely easy. We've got a private dating chat in the brotherhood, and there's a lot of times where guys are like, having an issue with the chick, and I'm just like, dude, just write this one off, man, because you do not want to see what this is going to be like in a year from now. If it's like the easiest that it should be is in the beginning. And it's like, bend into your will in month 3, man, you're going to have a problem. But that's really what it should be. Like a man should be able to tell his woman something that he wants, something that he thinks is good for her to do, to stop doing, to start doing, and have like almost no, reason of where this came from. And a woman should basically be like, oh, okay, like I'll try it at the minimum. And like I had a conversation with one of my ladies, that was, hey, how do you feel about, or I told her I like it. Yeah, I told her, I've been thinking about something recently, and I think I like it if you only wore your hair down when you and me are in private. And she was like, okay, like that's it, right? That's it. Like she was excited, right? Because like I kind of inadvertently told her, like how you look with your hair down is like arousing to me or exciting to me or something that should be just for us. Like I really, it turns me on, whatever. Like I inadvertently expressed this, and she had like no problem. Like this is not a big ask anyways, right? And then later on, fast forward, she's like, why did you ask me that before? And like she's got no problem with it, right? And I kind of explained, she has it up a lot of the time anyways. And I kind of explained, I was like, like the longer and longer it gets, when you let it out, it's like so sexy. It's like, it's bad. It does bad things to me. And I just think it'd be something exciting. Like if you just pull that out when it's just the two of us. Right. And then I kind of went down the rabbit hole with her. I was like, because me asking her this got me thinking, right? So like when men get surrender from their women, it like you kind of can't move forward as a man to the next level without like a woman on your side, right? And it got me thinking, like there's a lot of cultures of people that do this, right? Where like women have their hair up or cover it. But it's a nice thing, and it's something like I can't, looking back in my life, man.
Yeah, I mean,
before I was unplugged, like thinking about asking some of the chicks I dated, like, hey, I don't want you to have your hair down except when you're in private with me. Like that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
But or like you can only wear makeup with me at the house, like, because you're not, who else are you trying to impress? Right. Like if you're a makeup guy, I guess, but it's like stuff like that. Right. Because it's the opposite for most men. I mean, I had the opposite past experience where it's like my ex chick always looked better going out without me than she ever did going out with me. And it's like this spidey sense is tingling, but you can't put your finger on it. It's like, this is fucked up. Like, this is not the way it should be. It's not the natural of order of things, but it's just like, then you're programming. It's like, no, man, it's cool. Like she just wants to like have fun with the girls, be the good looking one or whatever. Meanwhile, it's like, dude, she's marketing herself for other men. Like she's hoping to find your replacement tonight. That's why she's out without you. So and I think there's a lot of guys that have that similar experience, especially cohab guys.
Yeah, I mean, I set like the earlier you can set your expectations, the better. And the like farther down the road you can push off giving more and more and more for like her being a woman you want to be with long term, the better as well. I have a lot of interesting reactions from women when, like if I like TLDR, I do phone calls off of the apps a lot of times. Like I get their number and call them and do like the sniff test coffee date over the phone real quick, just to see if there's a vibe, and then also like get them excited to see me, have some fun on the phone. But I'll soft close a date for like 3 or 4 days in the future, and then I'll text them like the day before, hey, for our date, I don't want you to wear any makeup. I don't want you to do anything with your hair. Just wear it naturally. And I want you to wear whatever, like, depending on the time of the year, right? Like a sweater or a sundress. And I have like a lot of very positive reactions from women with this, where they're like, half of the ones that are like, deranged or like, okay, daddy, with a winky face. But
right.
A lot of them are like, ooh, I like that. Like I've never had a man tell me something like that before. And they're also like instantly curious, right? Because
who the hell is that guy?
Yeah, most of them never had a man say like, and I'll tell women too, if it comes up on the sniff test or if they ask about it on the first date, like, yeah, I don't date women that wear makeup or put, chemicals in their hair or, dress in a way that's like unbefitting of a woman that I want to have children with. So yeah.
See, well, that's really interesting, because it's like there's a school of thought. Like let's dive into that a little bit more, because it's like, if this is happening really early in the process, like much earlier than I think even standard advice in these spaces would have, where it's like, you can't tell her anything until she's slept with you. She doesn't care about your opinion if you're not banging her. She's not invested in you. She's not asking you for exclusivity. Like a lot of people will say, let a woman basically do whatever and just keep her at a friends with benefits until she asks you, what are we? And then you can go ahead and say, because this came up on my show on Monday, I was like, I'm going to ask TC about that. And then that's when you say, oh, well, here's a laundry list of all these behaviors that I don't like that you need to fix before I take you seriously. But you're like, I don't even get to that point. You're like, I tell them straight up right off the rip, like, I don't do X, I don't do Y, I don't do Z. And if that's not cool, then like beat it.
Yeah, I think for most guys, it's an optionality issue. Like you really do need a lot more options than you think you do as a man in modernity. Like if you're wanting to have children, especially, and then like the more traditional of a relationship, family, whatever you want to have, like the more optionality you need, because what you're looking for is rarer and rarer nowadays. But like one of the guys that I'm working with right now, one-on-one, we kind of fixed his fix his photos, and he just remade his accounts on the apps, and he got like 113 likes in a day on one of the swipe apps.
Yeah, I saw that. That was cool.
So this is like if you're using apps and you're not getting like total across all apps, like 10 to 20 likes a day, there's no way you're going to have the required optionality. Now, if you just want to spin plates and have fun, it doesn't fucking matter. So then you can just, like work however you can with, you work your options as hard as you can, basically. Like who the hell has time for, like I've
spent 3 months with a chick, right? Like,
well, I don't
see if she'll get on
hours
program
in a week to take out, if I take out 5 chicks in a week and 1 out of 5 is like, oh, like this is kind of cool. He asked me not to wear makeup. There's something different about this guy. Whatever, like she's intrigued, she's turned on by it, the demandingness, whatever, that's doing things for me before the date. The other 4 that like, if I didn't say that to, maybe I could sleep with, but because I said that to, they're like, oh, who is this fucking guy? I don't want to. Like disqualifying those 4. Like I don't have time to not disqualify them.
Yeah.
And this, like any guys that are, I don't know how many guys are pursuing polygyny, but like I have.
If it was up to you, a lot more. I know you're
everyone.
That tree.
Everyone, we fix this whole society overnight, man.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's interesting because it goes so again, but I think you're right. I think even guys with options don't necessarily have as many options as it would take for this. But it goes to show that when guys do report back, they're like, "Oh, she said something that was really out of pocket. That she said something that, really threw me for a loop, or she acted disrespectful. What do I do?" It's like the answer should almost always be kick her the fuck out, like get her to the curb. It's just there's just no room for this. There's just no allowance for it. It's like that kind of disrespect is just not going to work. It just can't. But it's because a guy doesn't have like five other women that he could call up and say, like, whatever, this girl's out, you're in, like, it's your time to shine. Like, you're stepping up, you're on first string now, you've been promoted, that they try to like fix this stuff. And it's all because, and I said this on Monday, and I still think this is true. Guys want to still be in LTRs. Like, guys don't want to do the play spinning thing. Guys don't want to be the perpetual bachelors. It's just, I think there's this. I don't know if this is true or not anymore. Like, I don't even know if this is just something that was said, but I don't know if there's ever any justification for it, or if the justification makes sense that LTRs are harder than spinning plates, because I think they're difficult in their own ways. And I think that there are different skill sets that you need to have for each one, but I don't necessarily know if one is harder or easier than the others. It could, because what's harder? Are you talking about keeping her in frame? Are you talking about time investment? Are you talking about financial investment? Are you talking about getting bored? I don't know. So like, where do you fall on that debate? Like, is there one that's harder, or are they just different?
Yeah, I mean the trickiest part with an LTR is like, since pre-selection is one of the most attractive things to women, when you are exclusive to one woman, that instantly disappears. And then usually the guys the guys that think they're like gunning for an LTR are the guys that have typically optionality issues. So like, it is, if they can like lock down the one girl the 6 months that let them hit, essentially, they're like going to be in a better place for the next 6 months than the prior 6 months, right? And that's legitimately going to be the case. But it's those same guys that like don't have a lot of options that the LTR is going to very quickly descend into a place that they're not going to be happy with. So it's like a double whammy, right? Like, the guys that have tons of optionality, when they give a woman exclusivity, she knows, like, he
That's
can
what I was going to
drop her and
ask.
go get a guy in a day, or go
Yeah.
get another girl in a day. Versus the guys that are like gunning for an LTR, like, the chick knows the opposite there, right? Like, she knows, like, he's not going to find a girl as good as me. I've actually been thinking about this recently too. Like, I always preach to guys, shoot 2 points down.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, like, shoot 2 to 3 points down is almost, depends like on how you view your SMV scale. But so the same thing, like, guys that are shooting 2 points up or are shooting across, like, the chick knows, like, deep down, she knows, at least if she doesn't actually realize it, somewhere in the lizard brain, she knows, like, he probably can't do better than me, and definitely not easily. Versus when you're shooting 2 points down, and these are often the chicks that guys don't want to get into LTRs with. They just keep them as old reliables right on the side. But when you shoot 2 points down, and like, you give that woman exclusivity, she can see that, like, she is not your best option looks wise, right? Like, she can see, like, the kind of relationship you're going to have if, like, let's say you dated a bunch of 8s, and you even have like photos on your social media or something from being with those chicks, and then you start dating a 6, right? Like, the treatment you're going to get from her, especially like as far as losing frame and losing sexual enthusiasm over the long term in a long-term relationship, it's going to be much better than, if you have, like, if you're hooking up with like 4s and you don't want to commit to them because you're like, oh, well, what are people going to think of me? She's not pretty. And then, like, the first pretty woman you're with, or prettier woman you're with, you get into a relationship with, like, you're probably gonna have a fucking problem, man.
Yeah, I think that's
You
why
can't
women
wife
like
up the
to ask
hottest
about
girl.
exes, right? Like women like to ask about exes. Like, do you have your chicks ever say like, oh, like ask you for photos of the other girls or like who have you dated in the past? Like I've had girls that have asked me that. They're like they're obsessed with it. Like girls that I would wanted to take me serious. Like, oh, like what does she look like? This and that. And like I've dated attractive women. Like none of the exes I had in my thing. It wasn't because I was getting like dog ugly women. It's because I just couldn't keep them around. But I dated good looking women in my 20s and like my exes and all that. And so and I think that probably has a lot to do with it. They're like, okay, this guy can pull because this is you said something that I mentioned on the Monday show, my Monday show, where we were talking because my whole thing was we were talking about how vetting doesn't work and its boundaries, like vetting for the whole vetting for 2 years, like it's nothing. Like it's like it's just another way for guys to check a box and say, oh, I vetted her for 2 years and now it's time to put kids in her. It's like the work never stops, like the journey never ends. But the thing that I brought up, it's like we talked about. There was a question about like the cohab thing, and we talked about the exclusivity, the proximity, and the familiarity. And it's like the exclusivity piece, I think, boils down, and I think you agree with this, where it doesn't matter if you're a guy who steps out or not. Like whether you do it or not isn't really relevant. It's are you a guy in her mind that can and will if he's disrespected or if he's treated a certain way that he doesn't like agree with. A guy very well may not step out. He is exclusive to that woman, but that doesn't mean he can't drop her and go find a new option tomorrow. Am I on the money here or what? Or where?
Yeah, I mean, if a guy can get exercise if he wanted to, and the woman he's with knows that, it's obviously like 1,000 times better than, she thinks like he couldn't do better. But just get fucking exercise.
You still think he should do it?
Yeah, I mean, women hate this, man, but
Yeah,
the amount of guys that I've coached, and also the amount of times I've been in this situation myself, which is how I came to the conclusion to coach guys towards this, who were in a relationship that they didn't realize how many problems there were in it, that then stepped out and it pointed their face at like the disaster they're currently dealing with. It's very similar to, and I've never been heavy or fat, but like people that gain a lot of weight, right? Like anyone that's gained a lot of weight, like you look in the mirror every day and you don't really notice like yourself gaining weight. But like if someone hasn't seen you in a while, or you look at a photo from 10 years ago, you're like, yo, what the fuck?
It's happened to me recently.
And that's what stepping out does for a lot of guys with the relationship, because like their chick is getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse very slowly. And then they go and they're with a new woman that is like trying to get you, right?
Yeah.
Like she's not trying to take advantage
Yeah.
of you. And like she's not trying to get as much as she can out of you, right? And get away with as much as possible. She's like trying to do whatever she can to get commitment from you to begin with. So this is really valuable for guys. I think guys, even in the best relationships, the best marriages, should step out like once a year, once every other year. All these poor religious guys, go find some concubines, biblical. But I think what's even better than that, so that's like you do it and it would probably be unacceptable to the chick you're with. I think what's better than that is you only enter into long-term relationships with women who accept that you are going to do that. So like
Right.
you tell them, hey, and there's a way that this comes up in the Where Do We Stand that I think is like the best way to take the route, which is where if a woman asks you like 3 months in, or preferably like around 6 months in, hey, are you seeing any other women? Just tell her like, would it matter if I was? Like if I was, would that change something about the relationship we have? And if the woman's really into you, like if she has GBD and you're her hypergamous best, oftentimes she'll think about it and be like, huh, Like, not really.
Yeah.
So I think this is like most guys should try to go this route, and it's not going to be for every guy, but for guys that are in the top whatever 10 or 20% of what women are looking for, is tell them like have the conversation early on, and don't have it as an ask. It should be like a worldview thing almost. And like that way that I just explained to dive into it is one of the best ways I found. But like you can have conversations with the chick you're with about like, when men cheat, if you want to call it cheating,
Right.
literally like just to get it out of their system, and then like they're back on the grind. Like they're with a woman who's had like, like let's say a guy's with a woman and she's pregnant, and she's like after she gives birth, like she's recovering, and now she's busy with the kids, and she's not in the mood, and her hormones are jacked up, and like she's going back to work, and like all this is going on, she's stressed out, so she's just like not been putting out basically. And like that's a big problem for men. It's like and women will understand this if you're that guy. That's like for a woman, the guy gets laid off and he's like distracted with a bunch of other things other than finding a new job. And so like there's a real easy solution, like, and women do feel bad about this too, like when they have a lower libido than their man, or like that, they've been out for the count after giving birth, or they've been stressed out at work, whatever. Like they feel bad that they haven't been satisfying their man's, like the thing that's the most important to men, which is sex. So like women will be, you can convince women and explain to them how this works. So like, look, if you're not in the mood, you don't have to feel bad. Like I can just go step out, I'll get it out of my system, and I'll come back home and everything's fine. Right. So like it improves the relationship. And there's obviously going to be relationships and periods of relationships and marriages where it, like a man's going to need to do that less, or a man's going to need to do that more. Right. So like in the honeymoon phase, whatever, like the beginning of the relationship, when you're fucking like bunny rabbits all the time, like he's probably going to step out less. Right. When you got 10 kids and he's like on a work trip and he hasn't had sex in a month and a half, he's going to step out maybe more than, right. But like just having a woman that understands that it doesn't fucking mean anything. And like, she's like, and I don't like this personally, but I think this is fine for most guys, where she makes rules about it, right? Like, well, as long as you don't get another woman pregnant, you don't bring home any STDs, like, and you're not like dating her around our city, I don't really care. So that's where like most women will be. And like immediately that kills all the issues of exclusivity. So it's like it's all done. And like you never have to worry about being beta-tized in this way. Now, like the further you take it, I think the better too. So like there's a lot of guys that have a girlfriend, and then like, it's like this trope. I have a girlfriend, and my girlfriend also sometimes has a girlfriend. So like if you're going and finding girls for you and your girl to share, like you just destroy any chance of beta-tization from exclusivity. Because like you literally pull women in front of her for the two of you to, have a relationship with.
Yeah.
That's why I think polygyny is so good.
Powerful.
Because
I'll say powerful.
Yeah, it's like women love it, man. Like there's a reason that women love the sister wife shows, man. There's a reason. They want to live vicariously.
I love it. We had a question here, guys. There's a call-in link right there if you guys want to call and ask any questions tonight. But we were talking about this. We kind of brought this up before the show. Last night, talking about the self-deletion numbers for men. One of the conclusions was social media as a contributor. Do you gentlemen think that men with no options contribute to the numbers? I'm not sure what that question quite means. I'm trying to. So it was actually, I was trying to talk to this. I can't remember her name for the life of me, but she was this mental health advocate. And I was talking specifically about men. I said, like, My question is always to these people, why is the rate going up? I was like, can we all agree that we've never talked about mental health and it's never been more mainstream than it is right now? Like it's everywhere. It's in everything. It's in all of our movies, TV shows, literally commercials for it. It's all over the place. It's so normalized. And these stupid, dumb old tropes about men just don't want to speak up, toxic man, they just refuse to die, right? So because it's like they are speaking up clearly because we're always talking about it. So if that's the case, like if there's more awareness and emphasis on mental health awareness now than ever before, then why is the suicide rate still climbing? And it was, God bless her, first of all, but I will say like her example was pretty silly. She's like, well, guys go on social media. This is how women think about, they don't understand how men act. They only see men through the lens of their own eyes. Like I'm a woman, so I would do this. So all like men do this too. And she goes, well, there's a lot of these like gym influencers and like good looking guys. And maybe they go and see them posting lifting videos and like working out and they get really depressed because they don't look as good as them. And it's like, guys don't do that. Like we don't go and follow other men and like marvel at that. I was like, if I'm going to watch a Chris Bumstead video, it's about like, I'm be like, yeah, I want to look like that guy. So I'm going to see how he's training, what he's eating, how he's working out, like his sleep schedule, all that kind of stuff. I'm not like, damn, this guy's got some pecs. Like I'm not drooling over this guy. Or I'm not jealous that he's jacked. I'm like, damn, I need to get big. So, that was a pretty silly example, but I guess the question is like, is it losers? Is it these incels, so to speak, that is the increase in guys not getting laid correlating with an increase in the self-deletion rate, I guess?
Well, I actually haven't I haven't gone down this rabbit hole in a while. But from my recollection, attempted self-deletion is about the same for men and women. So
I thought it was higher for women.
Maybe. But if it is the same attempted self-deletion for men and women, then like the men's self-deletion, whatever you want to call it, problem, is just that men are far more competent in everything, including that. So now you could say like maybe the women's number is like they weren't serious. It's just like, a cry for attention or a cry for help or something. But I don't know. I think
it has to be, doesn't it? Like, I mean, think of how easy it would be. Maybe this is my male brain talking, but just think of how easy it is. And it's because it's like they always pick methods like ODing on pills and stuff like that, stuff that's not guaranteed, or it's like you could just go up to a building and jump off. It's really not that like difficult. Like you could easily just go get in your car and then floor it 100 miles an hour, like into the median, and it'd be it.
Well, they're
right.
probably
So
gonna
it's
crash
like
before they get it up to 100. So
well, that's true. Like
then they
it'd be
survive.
tough getting it to 60. Yeah,
It's
but it's
competence, man.
yeah, because again, right. So women can't drive. Yeah. So it's like we're not doing. Have you heard the one about women in the car? So yeah, I mean, that's one way of looking at it, but I guess it's like, yeah, I tend to see it as more of an attention seeking thing, like a cry for help. It's like, because you have to look at it. It's either one of those two things. It's either because in both, like women, you have to decide either it's a cry for help and you don't really mean to do it and you're just wanting attention, or you're incompetent. Like, sorry, those are the only two options that you have, and they hate both of them. That's an interesting, thing. It's like either you suck at stuff worse than men, and we can finally admit that men are better than you, even though it's like a really weird thing to be better than you at, or it's like you're just looking for attention and you just want like people to come and save you. And I don't, it's a tough answer because it's like either way, it's going to make them look bad.
Yeah, my other takes are, so like if the numbers are higher for men than they are for women, I don't think it's necessarily because like the men aren't getting women. I think a lot of times it's the men don't have a tribe, like they don't have a brotherhood of men or that they're around. And so I think what happens a lot of times, like there's a lot of divorced guys that self-delete. And it's like their entire life just gets absolutely imploded essentially by a woman. And I think a lot of those guys like weren't chasing excellence as hard as they could. Like they kind of bought into this happy wife, happy life, like parted ways with their friends, were changing fucking diapers, were going 50-50. So like they didn't have this giant safety net or like this golden egg they're kind of sitting on that when they break it in half to give it to their ex, like they're still okay. Like these guys are like homeless or like at their parents' house and like they're just drowning. And I think that even comes back to an issue with tribe and brotherhood. Like you don't have what you're supposed to. And then I think the other side of it is like we see that this is an issue more and more in modernity and more in places where life has gotten easier and easier. And we're just not wired for this. Like we need challenges to keep us moving. Like we need problems to solve. We need to suffer so that we realize like, you know, a lot of this is they're unhappy. And like, if you never suffer, like how are you ever going to be happy? If you don't know what bad is, you have no idea what good is. Right. And I think the difference between men and women, like if men are doing this actually at a higher rate than women, I think men's lives have become disproportionately more easy than women's. Like I think women didn't bear as much of the brunt of how hard lives were for hundreds of thousands of years. So like a woman going from 600 years ago to today, like how much easier her life has gotten isn't as much of a difference as a man 600 years ago and today. And then you kind of tie that into like men are wired to like build and conquer and compete. And so when you remove all of those core drives, it's like, what is this? And I would reckon, you know, so like you look at this on the male side, like you remove these core drives and then men are depressed and they end up doing this. I would reckon that childless women make up a vast majority of that on the female side. So that would be like removing their core drive, right? That keeps them going.
Yeah, man, it's a super nuanced and interesting topic. I think one of the things that I was coming up with last night is that I'd have to look at the kinds of demographics from what I understand and what I've seen is that this idea that it's the basement dwelling incel hate Reddit guys that are playing video games all day that are just off in themselves. Like, I don't know if it's so much those guys as it is guys that have like a job and a wife and a mortgage and kids and have like, because you always hear it's like, oh, we had no idea something was going wrong. Like we never saw any warning signs. I mean, that seems to be now maybe people just like to speak well of the dead. And I think that's perfectly, you know, I accept that that's part of the culture, but it's rare that people are like, yeah, this dude was like a total, because like, dude, guys will live under bridges and have no teeth and they'll just shoot up drugs all day or they'll just beg people. They'll choose that over death. And it's like, that's like the worst possible life I can imagine. And this guy still won't off himself. But a guy that's like, you always hear about these guys who have everything on paper. And I think you hit the nail on the head because I'm so glad you said this because this is exactly what I said last night. It's the tribe, it's the men, it's the boys, it's the doing shit. And it's like, generally these guys, because I said like men are built for struggle. Like men are built and have evolved to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. Like doing the work, going to work, providing, sacrificing, taking care of the family. That's all innate in men still. Even though there's men that have opted out from that sort of societal duty, I guess you should say. I don't necessarily believe that men have an inherent duty, but that's for another time. The one thing they've always had is struggle and having shit on their shoulders. But the one thing they've also always had is a men's group, as a community, as the boys, as the tribe. Now they've removed the tribe, but they still have these struggles and they still have the weight of the world on their shoulder. And women, for lack of a better term, arrogantly think that they somehow are the answers to men's problems. They can somehow supplicate this biological human need that we've had forever as men, and they think they can come in and do a better job of that. And it sucks, first of all, but really, I think it just goes back to this idea. Like the thing I said, I was like, ladies, the best piece of advice I can give, this first time I ever gave this advice, I was pretty proud of it. I said, if your guy seems down or he seems like he's having a bad day, month, week, whatever, ask him when's the last time he had a boys trip. ask him when's the last time that he got together with the guys and like turned off the phone and didn't have you calling him, ask him what time he was going to be home, ask him what time he went into the wilderness and like went camping or went shooting or went hunting or whatever, did something that was like primally masculine and that relied on the collective and of the guys. And because like women will also think, oh, like we had a ton of friends, but it's like most guys just have beer buddies. Like they don't have friends. They don't have what guys like me and TC have. I'm kind of talking to the camera now. They don't have what me and Spencer and TC have, and the guys in the Brotherhood, like the generals, where we can like point each other's face at stuff. Like even in Breck, like conversations like that just don't happen in these beer boy circles, right? These like sports guys circles. They're still talking about like other men's accomplishments and other shit and all this. And they might have some real shit going on, but those guys don't know aren't equipped for it, or they don't know what to say, or they just don't care about that, or they're not socialized, whatever. But yeah, and I think the worst part is that we do content and we make content for guys that need a tribe. And it's like, that is the cure to this male loneliness epidemic, is just bringing men back together. And every time we say anything like that, it's like, not only are we not helping to cure it, I get accused of contributing to it. And that's because, that's the part of the social media that I think is negative for men. When men go online and because they have nobody to talk to, so they go online and they spend their time in these Reddit threads and like these Facebook groups arguing about dumb shit. And the minute a guy will say anything that could be perceived as a complaint, everybody piles on. Like the male feminists tell him to shut up because he voted for Trump or something. And then the women tell him to shut up because men aren't allowed to have anything wrong with them because you're a man. You used to go die in war, like go do some of that. So like, it's not a plea to tell women like, hey, like get these other broads in line, but it's just like, ask your dude when's the last time he had a guys trip? Like when's the last time he did something with just the guys where you weren't involved in any shape, form, or fashion? And I bet a lot of them have like no idea. Or they're like, oh, I'm his best friend. Like, yeah, don't get me started on that one.
Yeah, I think so many, the same women that are like, I want my man to open up and be vulnerable, are like this. They're usually the same women that just henpeck the shit out of their men until the man turns into basically a woman, and they wonder why he's miserable. But yeah, it always irritates me when you see these broads online, man. And like, I'm like a psycho on Twitter, basically. So I see these women on there all the time. They're like, this is why there's a male loneliness epidemic.
Yeah,
and I
get it all the time.
And it's always about like the red pill,
yep.
Male female dynamic conjecture. And I'm like, that is not what is the issue. Like the issue isn't like men aren't like having sex with women. The issue is that men don't have friends. Like that's right. Why they're lonely.
But the men that have friends are gay to these people. Yeah, but they think it's gay. Like that's the thing. Like how many comments do I get on like our trips and our reels and stuff like that? It's like, oh, like what time is the circle jerk? And it's like, this is exactly, but that is exactly, you guys are calling us the contributors when this is exactly, because then people are like, oh, wow, if you need to go into the woods to feel like a man, you're not a man. It's just like, why can't you people just shut the fuck up and leave people alone? I mean, it's like, my goodness. So it's like, no, I think that's what social media has done. It is not men that are jealous of other men. It's men, I think, that don't have good, close-knit relationships, and they don't have people they can call. They don't have people they can rely on. And it's like, that's part of the whole mission of the Brotherhood, right? It's about giving guys a place where they are understood and they're with guys that are going through the shit they are going through, have gone through the shit that they're going through, can offer sounds boards, and just, it's like a need. It's like, I'm a water salesman, right? I'm selling food. I'm selling water. I'm selling a biological need. I'm saying selling because, yeah, our group has an entry fee and that kind of thing, but I'm using it as a, an example. But it's like, that's what I am running the Brotherhood on, is the biological need to do hard shit with guys that you can build relationships and trust and build camaraderie with. Like that is as inherent to the male experience as having sex with a woman and having children. It's just, you cannot remove it from the equation of human civilization and masculinity. You just can't. And that's the problem. They're taking something that is so fundamentally inherent to the male experience, and they're removing it. Not only are they removing it, they're telling them, because here's the deal. I'll just say this. most men, until they're conditioned out of this, think gay is like gross. Like they just do. Like they just, it's not something they think, like they just have this visceral internal reaction that they can't do anything about. It's the same reaction we have to like women with body counts through the roof. It's like disgust. When we just have it. Sorry, it's just there. We've been conditioned out of it, just like we've been conditioned out of like letting women have like rack up notch counts and say, oh, it's no big deal. She can fuck 200 guys and there's nothing different about her. We know it's bullshit in our spidey sense, like in our monkey brain, but we've been conditioned out of it. So like they've taken something that is so inherent to the male experience. Not only have you taken it away, you've rebranded it to something that we find disgusting. Men will literally they'd rather die than be called gay. That's where we're at. That's really what it is. You're like, you can't have male friends because that makes you gay. So it's like, well, if I have friends, I'm gay and I don't want to be gay. So I guess I won't have friends. And now I have no friends. And now my only option is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Like that's what I think it is. I think that's it in a nutshell right there.
You know, what's really, really gay is if the best thing that happened to you all year, your biggest accomplishment,
I know where this is going,
point of joy was your team won the Super Bowl.
Oh no.
So gay, man. It's the gayest thing I've ever heard.
Oh,
I mean, and that's like that legitimately, I think, you know, like if you can sum up in one example why men are so fucking miserable nowadays, it's because like the highlight of the average man's year is their team winning the game. And I'm like, dude, like I bet doing an annual misogi reduces male self-deletion by like 1,000%. Maybe literally 1,000,000%.
You know what's, dude, I know guys that are like that. Like that's what's crazy. You know, I overheard a conversation the other day. And this guy was like, oh, like, because I guess the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. And this guy was like, oh, yeah, did you call your buddy? Like, he's a big Seahawks fan. Did you call him, like, congratulate him for the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl? And I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, congratulate him for what? Congratulate him for being a fan of other grown men that actually did something and achieved it. Like, what is there to, it's like, go call him and congratulate him on his birthday. It's like, what do you mean? Like, there's nothing to celebrate. You didn't do anything. Oh, you're alive today like you were for thousands of days before today. Like, what are we doing here? So yeah, man, it's just, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know how we, again, I think that's what it is. It's just guys are being socialized to think that stuff is gay, like is feminine, literally getting together and going and like hunting and killing animals or going and like beating the shit out of each other in a fight gym. We're calling that stuff gay now. That's where we are. But men buy into
grappling is kind of gay though.
Grappling's not gay. I will die on this hill. I'll die on this hill.
Jiu-jitsu's a little gay, man.
Don't let your woman do jiu-jitsu with a guy. That's all I have to say about that.
Well, so that's the thing, right? Like if your chick's doing it with another guy, you doing it with a guy, maybe it's gay, man. If like you have a problem with your chick doing it with a guy,
no,
you're doing it with the guys, maybe
different. It's different. It's different. Trying to wrestle that man into submission. Pause. That's fucking funny. We're right at 9 o'clock, guys. If you guys call in, you have questions or anything like that, feel free to, I'll drop that in the chat one more time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I had. Yeah, like I guess the last piece is we talked about this a little bit before the show, but this kind of went back into the Christian thing last night where, you know, we had Caroline on and she goes like, that's the deal breaker. Like, gotta be a God-fearing man, whatever that means. We have to be aligned on faith. And I'm like, your perfect man has all these things, the height, the money, the job, the whatever, like everything, like envision your perfect guy. But if he's not religious, she's like, nope, that's still a deal breaker. And my problem with this will be guys can just lie. You can do, and then Hunter, the other guest is, well, you know, I'm like, how do you prove it? How does a guy prove that he's like super religious, he's super believer into it? And she's like, well, he does like these things that are, you know, he's a leader, he's a biblical man, and he doesn't cheat, and he takes care of the family, and does all these things, and he's not running around partying and clubbing and doing cocaine and stuff like that. I'm like, Both of those are separate from religion. You can be a good guy who doesn't cheat, who moves the family forward, who provides and protects, and you could just be like, I don't believe in God. And it doesn't take a guy. And like, there's plenty of guys who believe in God. They're like, yeah, they do cocaine. Does that make them not true believers? I don't know. So, but it's like hanging your hat on something as the most important metric that a guy that he could just lie to your face about it. How is that a good strategy? Like, why are we looking at things that we can actually see? Like, oh, this guy's in great shape, has a great physique. This guy is an actual protector. This guy's an actual provider. And I can see that through I can literally see that through demonstrable evidence. And yet we're going to hang our hat on and have the highest stake in something that a guy could just tell you what you want to hear. How does that make sense?
Man, I mean, maybe we end up on this fucking rabbit hole for the next half an hour. Someone call in, please, to break it up, because I'm gonna end.
They're not going to now.
I'm gonna end up deep into this, man. But I have some very different and what I would call like extremely unplugged biblical beliefs myself. And for a while, I was trying to like vet some women that identified as Christian. But like my set of biblical beliefs, most modern Christian women have a very hard time accepting, like surrendering.
We got Jackie in the chat, so see what she says.
So what I kind of realized going through this process with a bunch of women that identify as Christian is that like they're looking for a man that believes in something that another man convinced them to believe. Right? So like I can't get a lot of these women to adopt my biblical beliefs because their biblical beliefs are different, and their biblical beliefs came from another man, right? So, and like maybe it's a man that they view in higher esteem than me. Like maybe it's their pastor. Well, most of these like they're not like raised Christian, living at home with their father, and then even. This is the other thing that blows my fucking mind too. Like the women that are like, and I believe some of them, not all of them, but the women that are virgins, actual virgins, saving themselves for marriage and like live at home with their father. Like they're on an app talking to a guy. This is not fucking biblical, right? Like what's biblical is you're like, hey, please talk to my father. Because if he tells me to date you, I'm going to do it. So like, this is just like a little taste of what my biblical beliefs are. And it's like, I haven't met a woman yet that is like self-identifies as Christian that bends those beliefs, right? Like she cannot bend those beliefs, right? Like, even if I can make an argument with the Bible that like opposes something they believe in, like what they've so far learned in however long they've been like being told what these beliefs are by another man, they resist it so fucking hard compared to what I found the type of women that actually are able to adopt my biblical beliefs are women who understand Christianity, but don't self-identify as a Christian now. So like they were raised, you know, they like went to church a bit growing up. And then like most people, like a vast majority of people raised like kind of Christian, like fall away, you know, kind of fall from the faith and go do their own thing. And what I found a lot of times is that like these women, they understand what you're talking about. And like, if you're very convicted and you kind of like, hey, this is why I fell away from this when I was young. And this is why I've readopted this. And this is the way in which I've readopted this. And these are the things I've learned that like, I learned that we were brainwashed with a bunch of stupid shit that goes against our nature and God's laws in modern Christianity. And so like these women, you're not fighting this like really hard set belief system like that's in these boxes. This is biblical. This is not biblical. This is what Christians do. This is not what Christians do. And like, yeah, those are the women that are like, oh shit, now it makes sense. Like now Christianity makes sense to me because they don't have the conditioning put on them like a lot of modern Christian women do.
So is that why? I mean, so we hear this advice a lot. This is the first time I've heard this is potentially bad advice for other reasons. Like everybody tells guys, find a girl at church. That's where where do you find good women? At church. And you'll hear guys that are like, yeah, man, I'm in church. Like I go to church. Like these women are always trying to sleep with other people's husbands. There's still single women that are like running around trying to do all this, or it's like some of the nastiest, like dirtiest, sluttiest girls I know are like church girls. But that's not the point you're making. You're just talking about, those chicks that are heavily enough indoctrinated. I don't know if that's the right word, or it's like it's been imprinted on them. It's just not worth it because they just won't let anything get in the way of that programming.
Yeah. So, and this is one example. So like I believe, and I believe I'm also correct. And I believe the Bible also supports fully what I'm about to say, that adultery is not the same for men as it is for women. And I have yet to meet a like self-identifying Christian woman that can be convinced of that, even with the text from the Bible in front of her face that supports that. And it's like the modern Christianity is just so feminist coded. It's unbelievable. Like the amount of times I've seen a Christian man or woman use the word spouse blows my mind. Like this term is purely a feminist construct. There's no rule that applies the same to a husband as it does to a wife, right? Like a husband serves God, leads, guides, protects, provides, and a wife serves God by submitting to her father and then to her husband after. So, and it like, and maybe this is the crux of it, is that like women are not supposed to interpret the Bible. They're not supposed to interpret the word of God. They're supposed to listen to their father goes and interprets the word of God and they submit to him. And then once they're married, their husband. So maybe this is the issue, is that like they believe something that's not what their father's telling them and then their husband's telling them after. And like that's really where the issue is with the modern Christian women. Like they have their own belief system.
I go back to kind of the conversation that we started with at the beginning, like the submission versus surrender. And I was like telling these girls yesterday at the beginning of the show, and they'll just list off this laundry list. You got to have the same values and this and this and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wouldn't it just be so much easier if you just submitted to a guy and just surrendered to whoever your dad like wanted you to date? I probably left out that part, but it wouldn't just be easier, because it's like, look, ladies, if your goal is to be married with kids, you are failing over and over again. At what point is this clicking and going to clock in your brain that the current approach is not working for you? And part of the problem is because women don't have the problem, right? And people tell them it's all everybody else, and it's the guy has like a weird anxious attachment disorder, and he's immature, and he's a man-child, and all that shit. Like anything to keep women from having any sort of personal stake in their own problems, their own lives. But this idea that it's like, what makes you think you're such a good decision maker? Like, what makes you think you can pick men? Because you picked wrong every single time. I mean, there's a great quote in No Country for Old Men. I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's like, if the path you took led you to here, or if the advice you took or the rule you followed, I think it's rule. If the rule you followed led you to here, it's right before the guy, like the main antagonist kills, like the guy that was hunting him down. He goes, if the rule that you followed led you here, then of what use was the rule? If you doing all of these things and saying, oh, like I need to find a guy that, blah, 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 if all of that stuff has gotten you here, then what good is any of that? It's dog shit. It's fugazi. It's fairy dust. It's nothing, right? Like at what point do these women have to get slapped in the forehead with the frying pan and be like, what I'm doing is not working, I need to fix it? Or is that just, or it's just never going to happen? Like once they're outside of the dad's house, that's it.
Well, and this kind of ties a bit into what I was just saying as well. Like there's kind of a biblical answer for this, right? Which is,
of course,
like the women making their own decisions and like being led by who knows what, other than their father and then their husband. Like, we have a story about this, right? Like, it's the story of Adam and Eve, which is like, the woman's like, no, I want to do this. The serpent said it's fine. And Adam's like, well, oh, I guess do whatever you want then. Like, I guess it's okay, right? When Adam's supposed to be like, no, actually, we're not doing that. Sorry. But I think this is basically, this is what's going on with modern women, right? They're like, and this is what's going on with all the Christian women that I encounter that want to argue scripture with me, basically, is what they like doing. They're being led by, and it's kind of a sacred thing to be led by your father and then by your husband, because like, who is going to care more about you as a woman than your father? And then once he gives you to your new protector, who is going to care more about you than your husband? Right. And they're like, I'm going to listen to everyone except my father. And then I'm going to listen to everyone except my husband. And then I wonder why everything's going wrong. And I'm like, well, I fucking wonder.
Yeah. I mean, it seems so simple, where it's like, that got brought up too, when they were like, oh, he can't tell me what to do. I'm like, this guy would literally die for you. He can tell you what to do. Are you going to jump in a bolt, like in front of a train for this guy? Probably not. Right? Like, for your kids, maybe. So guess what? They're going to listen to you because you would die for them. This guy, like, no one cares about you more on this planet than this guy right here. And to sit here and say you're not going to listen to him is just unbelievable. Like, it's just crazy. It just makes no sense whatsoever. And you'll never hear an honest story about this. Like, the only time we hear of successful relationships like this all the time. I brought up Avis, that came on a couple of weeks ago, and Gia as well, where it's like, they defer to their husbands for literally everything, and they love their husbands, and they're in super good relationships, and they're still fucking like rabbits even into their like 40s and 50s, and they're just like, everything about a relationship is all, it's like, oh, it's not perfect, but it's like, I rarely hear, like, women will love to say, oh, well, I did all the cooking and cleaning, and I deferred, and I did all this, and I did the laundry, and I carried with the childcare, and I did all of this. And they'll always leave out that they were like a bitch, or that they were henpecking their husband a whole bunch, or they were always nagging, or all this kind of stuff. And then, because as men, like, we're not allowed to ask questions when it comes to this. A guy loses his shit on his wife and like punches a hole through the wall, he's automatically the villain. He's automatically the guy that we look at negatively. Like, he's the guy that's getting taken out in handcuffs from the cops. But nobody ever asks the question, like, what did it take for that guy to get there? Where did, like, what pushed that guy's buttons enough where he had to go and do that? Right? Like, because it doesn't happen in a vacuum, generally speaking. In any case, yeah, we'll get canceled for this, but that's the thing that just drives me nuts. It's just like, there's nobody that cares about you more on this planet, and yet he's the one guy that's not allowed to tell you what to do. Like, what makes you think that? And it all goes back to this thing. It's like, are you so arrogant? Are you so up your fucking own ass as a woman in this relationship that you don't think that there are things that you can't see? Do you honestly think that you have no blind spots, or that you're this infallible person that maybe can't always point your finger on the best decision? And I don't know if I really don't think they think that, because every time we get questions or answers from them, it's like, yeah, if I agree with my husband, I'll let him make the decision. Like, that's not what it is. Right. So I don't know how we fix it, man. I don't know if the genie's back in the bottle, or if the genie's out of it. I don't know if there's ever a way back in, but yeah, I feel for guys today, man. I really do. Like, I try not to give into them. I try not to pander to the guys that I'll talk about this and that, but we've had enough women even on our shows now where it's like, there's a lot of women that think like this. There's a lot of women that will not listen to a guy that would literally jump in front of a moving train for him. Well, who are you going to listen? Then who are you going to listen to?
Yeah. And that who are you going to listen to is it's kind of the whole thing. So like, women are going to follow someone, right? They're not going to like blaze a trail into the fucking unknown. This is their nature. Like, that's counter towards their nature, right? Like, women are risk averse. Women are not explorers. Women are not conquerors. Women are not visionaries. No offense, women. But this is the nature of women. Like the women that were conquerors, visionaries, explorers, revolutionary thinkers, like they died because that's risky. Like the women that allowed themselves to be protected and provided for, their children survived. So those traits got passed down. So like women will follow somebody, right? So like a woman who's like, my husband's wrong, I need to take this job. She's following someone else's guidance and leadership, whether she knows it or not. So drag it back into the Bible for a second, but like this is the story of the garden, right? Like the woman didn't decide on, the woman was like, oh, I shouldn't eat this fruit. I was told not to. And then she hears a whisper. Here comes the serpent, right? No, it's okay to eat it. So then she does it. Like something else is leading her. So like women can choose, either be led by your father and then your husband, or, for the women that, weren't led by their father because their father was henpecked into being a woman essentially by society and by feminism and by their mother. Just follow your husband. And like, I get it. Yeah, I get there's so many women that, like women aren't the only problem. And women aren't all of the problem. Like there's so many soft, weak men that don't do what they need to do for their women. So like, I get it. There's women that are following men that suck at being men. Like, I get it. I know. I've got the solution. Share the men that don't suck at it. But yeah, this is what women don't realize is, except for like an incredibly statistically small percentage of women, all women are following someone. So it's like, who cares about you more? Like the consensus of society and what like the wealthy and the powerful, the path they want you to walk, or is it your husband? So you got to, like, women have to pick. You're going to follow, whatever the, whatever the current, we've seen what the current elite get up to.
Yeah.
So like, you want to follow what they want you to do, or do you want to follow what your husband thinks you should do?
Well, it all goes back to what we said a couple of weeks ago about like the bottom 80% of the remaining 40%, right? Like even those guys now, of the guys that did pass their bloodline along, there's so many guys that are not, good enough options or not visible options, that sort of thing, or they can't do those things. So like most women are not even in marriages and relationships with the guys they really like. It's just literally like, it's just better than dying alone. Like that's their only thing to hang their hat on. It's just, thank God they still have a natural proclivity to have kids, or else like we'd really be in trouble. So, for women that say they don't, they just get dogs and cats and stuff like that. So there's still always that maternal need. But yeah, and your solution is like, yeah, you don't have to deal with those guys. You got to share the top guys, which they're doing anyway, right?
Yep.
Like that's what a lot of these, like, again, women will yell at me at TikTok. And it's like, we don't want men that get around. We don't want men that are promiscuous. And it's like, you're sharing men all the time. Like there's 20 women in my comment section right now that are all dating the same dude. You just don't know it. You either don't know it and you're willfully ignorant, or you do know it and you're just lying to yourself about it, right? That's really all it is. Like you single women are in relationships with other men that have girlfriends, wives, other women around, whatever, because the guys that don't get women are invisible to you. And it's like, and they know it and they think they know it. That's the thing. They know it, but they will do these mental gymnastics, to try and convince them otherwise. But they also think that they are able and capable of making like these grand gesturing, life altering decisions without guidance. It's a fucking mess. Start to wrap up here, guys. Let's see. Yeah, this is a fun show. I mean, I'm going to give you an opportunity to say anything else to wrap up, but, I don't really have anything other than that. We'll be back the same time next week. Like we always do, Tuesdays, 8:00. We'll be back for TFPOV, and Mobcast is on Mondays. But I will say, yeah, we got some things that you guys might be seeing coming out soon in terms of the Brotherhood and some of these meetups and things like that. We spoke this past weekend up in Brack about, some new developments, and we are really stoked about the trips that we do, and we're really jacked about how often we can get together and the stuff that we do, and we want to make sure that we you know give guys opportunities to experience that aspect of the tribe and experience these things as well. So if you guys have ever thought about joining, you've been on the fence, if you've thought about it, you've never pulled the trigger, maybe we've talked on Instagram once or twice, there could be something coming out for you in the next bit. So stay tuned on that. But anything to chime in on before we wrap up here, my friend?
Yeah. For all the ladies watching that are in a situationship or have been in a situationship, like you were sharing that guy, sorry to say, like that's why, he was exercising his other options. And it's something to think about, like the women that are in situationships, that are sharing men, like they're currently in competition with the other women. Why not be on the same team as those women? Work together.
I think
Much easier.
We'll have to ask that on the next Monday night. Well, I'm curious to see what our answers will get. Cool. Guys, we have I won't say giveaway now, but we also have a special edition of the Female POV, not this coming Monday, but the following one on March 9th. You guys are not going to want to miss that. Mark your calendars. Going to be a great time. But yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in every week. As always, we have a lot of fun with these shows. I think it's really cool that we get to talk about the stuff we talk on Mondays and then just flesh that out a little more without interruptions and screeching. And even though the girls last night were pretty well adjusted, but you never know what you're going to get when it comes to broads in the internet. So we're going to wrap it up there, and click follow on Instagram, like and subscribe to the video, subscribe to the channel, all that kind of good stuff. Helps the algorithms. We really appreciate it. We'd love to get over 1,000 subs so we can start, getting some supers from you guys, and you guys can continue to help support the channel and help us grow, because I think we're doing a good thing and trying to get the message out there. So if nothing else, we'll wrap there.